Imagine you wake up tomorrow morning, your phone buzzes, you pick it up, and on the screen you see a number you've never seen before. Sitting there in your bank account, $10 million just like that. No more dreading Mondays, no more looking at prices at the grocery store, no more lying awake, wondering if you can make it work this month. $10 million, that's enough to buy a house, put your kids through college, and still have enough money left over, more than 99% of people will ever see in their lifetime. Now I want to ask you something. What would you do with it? Most people answer the question fast. I'd pay off my debt, I'd buy my parents a house, I'd invest the rest, and never work again. They say it with complete total confidence, like the plan is already written. So here's where it gets uncomfortable. There's a group of people that actually got that call. Real people, lottery winners, athletes, artists, people who didn't just imagine $10 million, but they actually went out and received it. And within a few years, almost every single time, it was gone. This isn't a rare story. Studies consistently show that roughly 70% of lottery winners end up completely broke within just a few years of that windfall. 7 out of 10 people who receive life-changing money lose all of it. And it's not because they're unintelligent, it's because of something much deeper that almost nobody talks about. And it's not just lottery winners. We watch the same thing with professional athletes who have earned hundreds of millions of dollars and then file for bankruptcy just a couple years out of retirement. We watch the same thing with musicians and artists, people who sold out arenas, people who have sold out stadium tours, lose everything and end up drowning in debt. Mike Tyson earned nearly $400 million in his boxing career, all that completely gone. MC Hammer, Allen Iverson. The list is longer than most people know. And when you look at it, those are some of the hardest working, most talented human beings ever on this planet. So it's clear that talent wasn't the problem, but here's the one that really hit me when I first learned about it. If you go back in history, and I mean all the way back, the Vanderbilt family was once the wealthiest family in America. In the 1870s, Cornelius Vanderbilt's fortune was so vast that in today's dollars, it would rival the net worth of the richest people alive now. Incomprehensible amounts of wealth. And within just a few generations, when the Vanderbilt family was gathered for a family reunion, a room full of direct descendants, there was not a single millionaire in the room, not one. So now I want to ask you the real question. How does this keep happening? How does the largest personal fortune in American history simply disappear? Because here's the truth, and this is what the entire video is about. It's not because they didn't have money. It's because they didn't have the psychology to actually keep it. And the reason most people will never build generational wealth is not because they didn't earn enough. It's because they were never taught to think the way that wealth actually requires you to think. That's what we're going to fix today. Before we get into the psychology of people who actually build and keep wealth, I need to tell you something, and this part most people don't even realize. Every single day, from the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep, you are being sold to. It is not occasionally, it is constantly. The average person sees somewhere around 6,000 advertisements every single day. On your phone, on your commute, in the songs you stream, in the videos you watch, and this is all being done by design. Globally, advertisers invest over $1 trillion every single year, specifically to engineer exactly what you want and exactly when you're most likely to feel it. Think about that number, $1 trillion deployed to predict your behavior and shape your desires before you even know you have them. And the sad part is working really well. Nearly half of all purchasing decisions today are influenced by social media alone. You scroll past something and your brain is going to log it. And then days later, you buy something and genuinely believe it was your idea. Almost all digital advertising you see, hundreds of billions of dollars worth, is now AI targeted, which means the algorithm knows your thought patterns better than you actually know them. It knows when you're bored, it knows when you're insecure, it knows what you wish you looked like and what you wish you felt like, and it serves you content designed to manufacture specific desire for things that give you a feeling and not a future. Now, this isn't even some sort of conspiracy theory, it's actual business, and it's being extraordinarily well executed. But here's why it matters so much for wealth. If you grew up being quietly taught from childhood every single day to equate things to happiness, to equate spending with success, to equate what you own with who you are, then you are not nearly as in control of your financial decisions as you think you are. You have been conditioned, and that conditioning is the first wall standing between where you are and building true generational wealth. This is the part that nobody covers in personal finance. We spend so much talking about the actual numbers, saving rates, investment accounts, tax strategy, and we almost never talk about the invisible force driving those decisions underneath: status. Here's something that genuinely surprised me when I first understood it. Luxury brands, the Louis Vuittons, Gucci's, Hermes, they don't primarily sell to the ultra wealthy. The ultra wealthy already have wealth secured. A significant portion of luxury goods are purchased by middle and upper middle class consumers. People who are stretching their entire monthly budgets just to make that purchase. People who are sacrificing savings for the look of success. Because we have been taught that looking wealthy and being wealthy are the exact same thing. They are not even close to the same thing. One is a performative act and the other is a position. I have been in rooms where people are driving the nicest cars, wearing the designer label you can name, and they were one bad month away from complete financial crisis. And then on the flip side, I've hung out with people driving 10-year-old trucks, wearing no-name clothing, and sitting on net worths that would genuinely make your head spin. The people building generational wealth almost never look like what the internet tells you they should look like. And that's because they're not playing for your approval. They're playing a completely different game. And once you truly understand that, once it actually clicks, you stop measuring your progress by what other people see. You start measuring it by what actually grows. And that shift right there is going to change everything. Here's something I believe deeply, and it took me a while to fully grasp it. Your most valuable asset is not your money, it is your attention. Because attention is what determines where your money goes. It's what drives every decision you make, what you invest in, what you ignore, what you chase, what you build. Every financial outcome in your life can be traced back to where your attention was pointed. And this is where it gets really interesting. We live in an attention economy. Entire industries where trillions of dollars are built entirely around capturing your attention and holding it as long as possible. Your attention is literally the product being bought and sold every time you open your phone. So think about what people building lasting wealth actually do. They are ruthless about who gets their attention. They do not react to every market headline. They're not refreshing their portfolio every hour. They don't spend any mental energy comparing their life to the ones they see online. They protect their attention like a bank account because they understand where their attention goes, decisions will follow, and decisions always compound. Then there's time. I have sat with people who have built extraordinary things, and one of the most consistent things I've noticed is that they don't think in months or years, they think in decades. They will make a decision today that won't pay off for 5, 10, 15 years, and they are completely at peace with that because they understand something that most people struggle to accept. Time is the real currency. Money can be earned, time cannot. When you start thinking in longer time horizons, your decisions will change completely. You will stop chasing the fast dopamine. You'll stop performing for an audience, and you begin asking fundamentally different questions about your decisions and actions you take. That single shift is worth more any specific investment tip I could ever give you. Your attention and your time are the most valuable resources on this planet, and it's not even close. Now, this is the part that I find most fascinating because I have had the opportunity to spend real time around people who have built lasting wealth. Not just high income, but actual generational wealth. And there are things they have in common that you'll almost never hear online. The first commonality between them, they don't use money for validation. And that sounds simple, but think about how rare that actually is. Most of us, if we're being completely honest, make some financial decisions because of how it makes us feel in front of other people. The car, the restaurant, the vacation that gets posted on Instagram. There's nothing wrong with enjoying your life, but there's a critical difference between genuine enjoyment and performative spending. People building real wealth have already resolved their identity somewhere else. Money is just a tool for them, it is not a mirror. And the second thing they have in common, they prioritize control over comfort. There is almost always a moment in the journey of someone building real wealth where they have to choose between a decision that feels comfortable and a decision that gives them more control. And they consistently choose control. That means turning down a safe salary to maintain ownership in something. It might mean taking a short-term hit to protect a long-term position. It is rarely a comfortable choice, but the control compounds just like money does. And the third commonality, they are willing to be misunderstood. When they are making a decision that won't pay off for 10 or even 15 years, and the people around them don't always understand it, your family's gonna think you're making a mistake, and the people building generational wealth have learned to be at peace with that. Because they're not making decisions for the people around them watching, they're making decisions for the people coming after them. Which leads me to the most important thing these people all have in common. They think in generations, not individuals. This is real distinction between wealth and generational wealth. One is built for yourself, the other is built for something way bigger than yourself. When you start asking, what am I leaving, instead of what am I getting, strategy completely changes. My dad used to say something that I've carried with me my entire life. He always said there are two ways to learn, counsel or consequence. You can learn from wisdom of people who have already walked the path, or you can learn from the pain of getting it wrong yourself. Every person I've watched build real, lasting wealth chose counsel. They got into rooms with people who had already figured it out. They asked questions that most people are too proud to ask, and then they actually applied applied what they learned. So let me give you something you can actually use, because at this point you might be thinking, I understand the psychology, but what do I actually do with all of this? Here's how to think about it. Generational wealth is built in 4 layers, and they have to come in this order. Layer number 1, build the individual. This is you. Before anything else, your mindset, your habits, your ability to delay gratification, your relationship with time and money. If this layer is not solid, nothing else is going to hold. You can hand someone $10 million, and we've seen this play out. If that individual isn't built, it will disappear. And this is the layer that most everyone skips because it's invisible and it's the most important one. Layer 2, build the assets. This is where most people want to start. The accounts, the investments, the real estate, the business. And yes, it matters enormously, but it only compounds if layer 1 is in place. Assets built on an unstable psychological foundation get spent. Assets built on a solid one get multiplied. Layer 3, they build structure. This is the architecture that protects everything. They have trust, they have tax strategy, they have entity structure, and they have an estate plan. This is the layer most everyday people have almost zero knowledge of, and it's the layer that determines whether wealth actually survives from one generation to the next. A savings account is not enough. A will is not enough. The structure has to be intentional. And layer 4, build the people. This is the one that determines whether what you've built actually becomes generational. Because generational wealth is not a number in account. It is a mindset transferred from one generation to the next. If your kids grow up watching you spend to perform, they will spend to perform. If they grow up watching you invest, protect, and thinking long term, they will absorb that same framework. The wealth lives in people before it ever lives in money. If the mindset is not transferred, the wealth will not last. That is the lesson the Vanderbilts never taught. I want to slow down for just a second, because what we've talked about today goes well beyond investing tips and account strategies. What we've been talking about is identity. The identity of someone who decides to build something that outlasts them. And that kind of thinking is genuinely rare. And it isn't because people aren't capable of it, but because everything around us is designed to pull us in the exact opposite direction. Every ad, every algorithm, every status signal in our culture, the entire system is engineered to keep you consuming and not building. Stepping out of it is a choice, a conscious, daily, quiet choice. And I've sat with people who have built extraordinary things. And what always strikes me is not how much money they have, it's how differently they see themselves in relation to time. They see themselves as links in a chain, not the whole chain. They're building something they may never see the full result of. And there is something extremely powerful about that. Because when you start thinking that way and you stop asking, what can I get, and start asking, what can I leave, every single decision you make begins to shift. You stop chasing what looks impressive and you start building what actually lasts. And the long game is the only game that produces generational wealth. So here's what I want you to carry with you today. It was never just about money. It was about the psychology behind the money, the mindset that earns it, the discipline that protects it, and the wisdom that multiplies it, and finally the intention that passes it on. The lottery winners didn't lose money because they were unlucky. The Vanderbilts didn't lose their empire because of bad investments. They lost it because the psychology wasn't there. And the people quietly building generational wealth right now, the ones that you will never see on the highlight reel, they are not more talented than you. They are not luckier. They have just decided at some point to play a completely different game. You can make that decision too, so I want you to take this with you. You've been conditioned to consume, and you can choose to build. That shift right there is where generational wealth begins. If you've got something out of this video, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell notification. I post content like this every single week, and I don't want you to miss any of it. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you on the next one.